Good afternoon, everybody. Why don't you go ahead and, come this way. Yeah, you in the couches. You in the couches. We're coming this way. Yeah. We broke those down a while ago. Let's see. Is everybody seated? All right, why don't you stand up with me real quick? Yeah. All right, now you guys can sit back down. No, I'm just kidding. Stand up. Grab the hand of the person next to you, will you? Yep. All right, we'll pray real quick. Father, thanks for an opportunity to get together today. We so appreciate having an atmosphere to come and be together, to be with you, to be vulnerable, to have the opportunity to develop relationship. It's a unique thing in our lives to be able to have a place to do that in the middle of a busy week. We ask a special covering over our time today, that the conversations would be unique and filled with you. We pray a blessing over the week to come, that it would be connected with one another, that there would be rest and an ability to trust in what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis. Amen. If you will just get the name and phone number of the person next to you.
All right, well, we're going to jump right into it today, if you don't mind. Thank you, Mike, for that entertaining welcome. Today, what I'd like to do is wrap up a topic that we've been talking about this is our fourth week, and it will kind of set us up for a new beginning starting next week, which happens to be Easter. So, look at the Lord. So I'm going to talk for just a few minutes to kind of get you up to speed if you haven't heard what we've been talking about, but also to kind of bring us to a bit of a conclusion. And then I have a couple questions I'm going to invite you to discuss amongst yourselves. And so at that point, we'll take a break. I'll step down, and we'll just have a conversation at tables for a little while. It's not the kind of conversation where you need to be a theologian or have the right answer. This is whatever you would like to share out of your own life and your thoughts. Then we'll bring it back together, and at the end, I thought it would be great to celebrate a little bit today. So oftentimes we'll sing a little bit at the beginning and sing at the end. Well, today we're going to sing a couple songs. These are celebratory songs, celebrating what God has done in our lives and about where we're going. So, wanderers. This is an analogy that I'm using to talk about our journey. We have been invited into unknown territory. So, the way I talk about this is every single one of us is stepping into unknown territory every single day, including Marcus, especially Marcus. So every day when you wake up, you don't know where you're going. You don't know exactly what's coming. You have ideas. You have hopes. You have plans. You have thoughts, but you don't know. And if that unsettles you, that's okay, because that's reality. What makes us different from any other wanderer, though? What's different about our wandering, in a sense, is that we are not without a guide. In fact, we have a guide whom we can trust. Our guide just doesn't tell us everything from the beginning, right? We don't have all the twists and turns. We also, not like all wanderers, we don't wander alone. Isn't it nice that we can wander together? And that together we will find our way forward, and that we can encourage each other and help each other to endure this process that we are in and these seasons that we go through, like Jesse talked about last week. But here's something else, probably the most important aspect of wanderers that we are. We have a destination. So what is our destination, and will we ever get there? And I know what you're all thinking. He's going to say heaven. No. I'm actually not talking about heaven today. So there. So today we are talking about arrival, and I'm using the image of the Israelites wandering in the desert. They had a destination, right? And when we talk about the promised land, everybody thinks heaven. Well, yes, heaven is going to be wonderful. I'm sure of it. But I would like to experience a little bit of heaven now. And I think that that's part of the promise that Jesus has offered us, is that we not only get to make our journey toward heaven, but heaven has journeyed to us. So what does it mean to arrive? I would like to ask you today to think about arrival not as the end of something, but as the completion or fulfillment of something. And that's different because end means done, right? And certainly we have seasons where you go through where things come to an end. I was just talking with Caleb about video games. When you play a video game, you don't get to go on till you've finished or completed or fulfilled the level that you're on. And you may stay on that level for a very long time until you gain whatever skills or whatever you need to be able to move on to the next level. But there's always something following, and you don't get to go there until you've completed what that current level is to teach you, right? But we do this with children as well. So I'm teaching my children right now, and you recognize there are developmental stages we go through. You don't get to read sentences until you learn your letters and your phonics. That's just common sense, right? Those are stages, those are phases, levels we go through. And when we complete those, we do arrive, don't we? I have arrived at knowing my alphabet. Isn't that a great place to arrive at? But is that the end? No, it's not the end. So arrival is not just the end of something, it is the completion or fulfillment of something, okay? Why is this important to me? This is important to me because it's easy for me to have an escapist mindset. In other words, if I can just last, survive, exist until this difficult thing is over, then that would be great. Just let it end, right? That is an escapist mindset. And guess who else has a lot of an escapist mindset? Christians. God, if you could just come back and toss this whole earth thing away and we could just get out of here, wouldn't that be great? I mean, that is a message that is preached. Just wait, just hold on, just survive, and hopefully God's going to come back soon and take it all away. That to me is an escapist mindset. That's not helpful. When I look at the story of the Israelites, there are many times where people complained and said, wouldn't it have been better for us just to stay in Egypt? Think about what life was like for them. It says that the Egyptians were killing their children, first of all, but doubling their workloads. They were slaves. And yet some, in the middle of the challenge of living in the desert, would rather have gone back. At least at that point, they said they would rather, than have to live in the unknown. But of course, as Jesse talked about, Moses knew that God was doing something. And so Moses played this friendship role with the Israelites, where he was the friend who would go and talk to God, bring back the message, remind them of where we're going, and help them to endure this process. Okay. This understanding that fulfillment and arrival is not about just getting out. It's about completing something. It's about fulfilling something. If we are just waiting for something to end, I believe that God does give us relief. And I've experienced that when I've been in something, I just felt like, man, I can't handle this anymore. That there's relief. And he did it with the Israelites. He gave them, quail when they whined about, we want meat. Okay, here's more meat than you can handle. We want bread. Okay, here's bread. It'll just you wake up in the morning, it'll be there. Here's water out of a rock. God gave relief, and he gives us relief. But I don't believe that we get to move on to arrive at the completion of one stage and move on to the next stage until we learn what needed to be learned. And guess what happened to the Israelites? A whole generation died, and a new generation had to be raised up for that season to complete itself to go forward. I would like to not do that. I would like to not wait 40 years. This brings a question to my mind, because it would be very easy for me to want to escape challenges. How do I learn to see this season, whatever phase I'm in? How do you learn to see whatever season or phase of life that you're in as something developmental that will naturally come to a close when you're ready, when it has been fulfilled, when it is complete? And will I actually be able to partner with God in a way that I am motivated to actually engage in this season rather than just try to exist until it's over? Are those good questions? I think they're good questions. So let me say that what I think to arrive means not the end, but actually to complete something. I love this scene from Jim Gaffigan, where he says, the most annoying are those people in exceptionally good shape at the gym. And he says, I'm like, what are you doing here? You're done. That, to me, is the perfect example of an escapist mentality. I'm just going to go do this gym thing until I'm done. I'm just going to endure this. But of course, people who get really into exercise, they're never done. People ever just get in good shape and then they're like, whew, I'm glad I did that. I'm done. That doesn't happen. When I got into, let me jump forward here. When I got into exercising a little bit, I realized that I didn't know, I lost something. Let me go back. Is it going to show up? No, I lost it. I realized that I didn't know how to work. I didn't know how to push myself. And so I was doing the motions, but I actually wasn't accomplishing anything. And so I would come to these tests that I had to do, and I realized I couldn't do the test, and I figured out I actually don't know how to do this. And I had to learn to partner with and engage in the challenge and the pain and the really hard work that I didn't want to do, actually in the exercise. I actually had to work at the exercise, not just go through the motions. Well, how many of us find it easy to go through the motions? It's just, I'm doing the right stuff, and I'm just kind of doing the motions, waiting for this thing to end. That is a very different process than saying, what is this for, and how can I really partner with it and make the most out of it? So I have a couple questions that I'd like to invite you to talk about. The first question is this: can you identify a season of your life, either current or past, when you arrived because you actually completed or fulfilled the necessary process? What was that season? What was that like? What did you go through where you actually fulfilled, completed, whatever, and it came to an end? Now, there's some really obvious ones where we complete and fulfill some things, but I'm not going to throw any ideas out there. I'm just curious to see, what will you come up with? What is a season or a phase that you went through, current or past, where you completed? And then the second question is just as important. What made that a successful completion rather than just an escape? Because it's easy to want to escape challenges. And we all find ourselves at some point just thinking, I want out, I want to be done now. What do I need to do to get out of here? So I want to invite you to gather up at tables for a little bit and tell your story. Tell about a season or a phase of your life or something you went through where you actually were able to complete what you needed to complete to move on, and you actually experienced that successful fulfillment and arrival rather than just escaping, and what made that so successful. Any questions? All right, let's talk for a little bit, and then I'm going to bring us back together, okay? Okay, if you could take one more minute or so and wrap up your thoughts, and then I'll bring us back together. All right, I'm going to bring us back together here. Got a little more to say. So, what's would you say that you spend more time in your life arriving or waiting for the arrival? Waiting. Yes. Yes, it is. I just like everyone to agree with me. Um, as I was preparing for this today, Jacob came to mind. Um, Jacob moved here almost 5 years ago, and began a season. We'll call it a season. Um, and the reason he came to mind is because he is in one of those wonderful and kind of rare moments when you experience that big sense of completion and fulfillment. And so I said, hey man, I'm going to be talking about this today. I would love to hear just what your thoughts are. And if you get stumped, I'll ask you a question.
We were chatting a little bit in our group, and a couple of things came to mind. One of the things about finishing college that I realized was I did go through the motions when it came to this, to college. Throughout the course of time, because you have a college email address, you continuously get emails where you're invited to participate. Because of my psychology degree, I got invited to participate in research labs and come and do this, and they need an assistant there. And I ignored all of that because all I wanted to do was just be done with school. It was really the only thing I had in mind. So as I was thinking about that before, I really think that the problem with going through the motions is that you miss out on something. And I think what you miss out on is the key lesson that you're supposed to learn. And so even though I did learn a lot, and taking away from this college experience is that whatever the next challenge might be, I'm going to try and tackle it more in a way where I'm going to really get involved, to really draw out of it everything and anything that I can. Because there's a purpose. I think that, of course, God always has a plan B, A, C, D, Y, 4. And so I think he can always turn everything to the good. But I believe a little bit that there's this initial thing that he wants to give us, and that we really make a conscious choice of whether or not we're going to receive that. And receiving that, I think, is part of the completion. If you get to the end, I get to the end of my studies and I say, yes, I completed that, and that feels great, and yes, and it's an exciting time right now, but I feel like there may have been these 1 or 2, 3, 4 nuggets that I may have missed, and so the completion feels a little, I'm not going to discredit it, but it does feel a little incomplete in a way. And the other thing that I realized is that along the way there were obviously a lot of opportunities to say, screw this, what's the point? I don't even know what I'm going to do with a psychology degree, who's going to hire me, but in the end there was always the people that reminded me what it's for. So we talked about figuring out with God what is the actual purpose, and there being an actual lesson. And so I'd have many conversations with a lot of people in this room at various stages throughout the course of my studies, where I would just be like, so what is this all for? Are you serious? Like, look, I'm taking Math 111. I took Math 111 in 11th grade, in 10th grade. What am I doing this for? It's ridiculous. What if the lesson was to teach you how to learn? What if the lesson was to listen to authority? Or as a teacher? What if the lesson was to just become a better student in general, and no matter what the task is, just tackle it to the best of your ability? What if the lessons are completely different than what you're actually experiencing and what you're seeing in front of your eyes? What if the lessons go much, much deeper? And that's what I think I realized through the course of my studies of just talking with people. And it was another clue as to why we need each other. We need each other because without you, I would be limited, way too limited, and I'd be in my own little box trying to explain these things by myself, but my logical side is lacking. So I need somebody in my life who's logical. So I'll talk to somebody who has very good, conclusive thoughts and can help me arrange everything that's going on to where suddenly I feel motivated again and encouraged again. So I think those were the two biggest lessons of studying, and not so much the actual accomplishment of a psychology degree.
Stay. So, school is one aspect of your season here, but there is also, if you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit about the more personal, because you didn't, I mean, you came here to go to school, but you didn't really come here to go to school. That was kind of part of the process. And I would say, however you feel about school, first of all, well done. And second, that you talk about these deeper lessons, whatever you came here to learn, I would say that you have very much mined that and dug out what you were brought here to receive. What would you say about the process, just your personal process of being here and a sense of completion?
Wait, can you rephrase the question?
Fine. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, thinking about school versus just your personal process and why you were here. And do you have a sense of completing this season of you personally?
Yes and no. So just like with the studies part, there's lessons and opportunities that I'm fully aware of that I missed, opportunities to relate with people, and I chose to do something that I enjoyed more at the time. So I look back on these opportunities and I say, it's a little annoying, but yeah, I think what I can take away is that for future reference, I think I will look back on those opportunities that I missed and not be as foolish in the future to repeat those mistakes. Not ever again, of course, it'll happen, but hopefully less. And yes, definitely I have completed what I came to do. I feel much more like a grown-up, and everything, you put your definition to what that means for you personally. There's a lot of things that are attached to that for me. One is just thinking out of myself, just really having a bigger perspective for what's happening around me and is going on. The world is not about me. Bummer. The world. There's a much bigger picture, and I think that I gained the ability to dive into those snippets and see, okay, there's something deeper at work here, something else to be explored. I think I've become healthy in understanding or relating to others. I think that was another big one. I was incapable of really having meaningful relationships before. Another thing that I came to see throughout the years. And now I think I'm able to relate to others in a way to where with the help of God, I'm able to sometimes feel how somebody feels, or try to understand what they're wrestling with and going through, or to participate in celebration with them. I think that there's now even a motivation to actually engage in that, to be interested in somebody else, to be interested in becoming the healthy dad or the healthy brother or the healthy son. All those dynamics, I think I've completed a part of that.
Well, I would say big amen to that. And we get Jacob for about another month. He is heading out at the beginning of May. So we will be celebrating with you. And thanks for everything. And it doesn't end, obviously. But thanks for sharing, man. Appreciate it. All right. Now you can go. Yeah. So that's not quite the end. I need to leave you with something. What can you expect when you arrive? What do we expect to happen when we arrive? I think a lot of times when we picture arrival, we think it's all roses, it's all wonderful. But in reality, arrival is completion of a phase, and in those completions, it's appropriate to celebrate and enjoy where we are, enjoy the completion, because we don't get to do that a whole lot. But at the same time, what does it mean? It means that we are now ready for something new. It means new questions, new opportunities, and new challenges, doesn't it? Thinking about Jacob, it's like, yes, finishing college, and then immediately, as all those new questions of, now what, It really sets the stage for something greater. Let me read to you what God said to Joshua. When Moses died, he was the last of his generation, and it was time for the Israelites to now go into the promised land. Okay, so this is Joshua chapter 1. I'm just going to read the first 9 verses. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, my servant Moses is dead. Now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am going to give them, to the Israelites. Every place the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I have promised to Moses, from the wilderness and the Lebanon as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, and all the land of the Hittites to the great sea in the west shall be your territory. No one shall be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail or forsake you. That all sounds awesome. And then he says, be strong and courageous. I'm thinking, why would he need to say that? He just said, I'm going to be with you. No one's going to be able to stand before you. And then he says, be strong and courageous. For you shall put this people in possession of the land that I swore to their ancestors to give to them. Only be strong and very courageous, being careful to act in accordance with all the law that my servant Moses commanded you. In other words, everything you learned in the desert, don't forget. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, so that you may be successful wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, and you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to act in accordance with all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall be successful. I hereby command you, one more time, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And Jacob, I want to speak that over you, but I also speak it over all of us, because we enter these phases and these seasons where it's like finally we get a little respite, a little breather, and yet we sometimes hold ourselves back from going in and possessing the very thing that God has brought us through that to possess. Because it takes strength and it takes courage to actually go in and take that step. They had to go and kick out the existing people. So we have to still have strength and courage. It's not over. By no stretch of the imagination is it over. But the more that we engage in this process of being shaped and going through these journeys and these phases, the more strong and the more influential we become. And I don't know about you, I just don't want to sit passively. I want to engage and be active and make the world a more heavenly place and see the kingdom of God come. And yet so often I get stuck thinking, I just want out. So if you're stuck, if you're feeling like you just want to escape the season you're in, I want to give you just 3 questions you can ask yourself. First question is simply, God, what are you wanting to accomplish in this season? You don't need to ask, why am I here? Why did you do this to me? All those things. You just need to know one simple thing. God, is there anything that you want to accomplish in this season? Anything. Anything at all. Wouldn't that be nice to know? If you can have one thing that God wants to accomplish in this season, then you have purpose. Without that, you don't have purpose. Second, God, how can I partner with you and with others to actually develop what needs to be developed? Because we can't do it on our own, just like Jacob said. If you're stuck, you need to find out first, is there any purpose that God has for this season? And I guarantee you there will be something he will give you. But second, you can't stop there. You have to say, how do I partner? How do I engage with you and with other people and actually go through this? In other words, how do I not stay passive but actually have an active role in this? Not just go through the motions. And the last question is, what does this look like for me to finish well? What is it going to look like for me to come to the end of the season? I don't know when it will be. I don't know what all the details will be, but what does it look like for me to complete this and do a good job? In other words, tell me about the promised land again. And God reminded the Israelites over and over. What did he say? I am taking you into this place. It's flowing with milk and honey. We all remember that. Do you know where you're going? We know where the Israelites were going. Do you know where God is taking you? Because he will tell you something. He will give you something to give you hope to hold on to. And that is so, so important. So to allow this to sit in us and to kind of allow the Spirit to work some of these things in, I'm going to invite the musicians to come, and we're going to sing a couple songs. Go ahead, Andrea and Nels and Josh. And I don't know what these questions mean to you. Maybe you've asked one of these questions or a couple of these, but there's something that you are stuck on. You have forgotten. You forgot to ask God. You forgot to find one of these things. I want to invite you, if you want to sing, you can sing. But if you'd rather just sit and listen and ask that question and see what he says, you can do that too. So don't worry if you just need to sit. But these are celebratory songs, so we're going to sing them that way. Yeah, that's good. Can you see it all right? Do you need to fix it?
You good?
Okay. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, your perfect love is casting a fear. Even when I'm caught in the middle of the storms of this life, I won't turn back, I know you are near, 'cause I will fear no evil. God is with me. My God is with me. Whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Oh no, you never let go. Through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high, every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. Glorious light beyond all compare. There will be an end to the troubles, but until that day comes, we'll live to know you here on the earth. I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. If my God is with me, then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Oh no, you never let go. Through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high, every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Let's sing the bridge. It says, I can see a light. I can see a light that's coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to the troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Let's sing that again. I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Oh no, you never let go. Oh no, you never let go. Through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high, every low. never let go of me. Lord, you never let go of me. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. 'Cause He is high above and
Lifted up,
high above and
lifted up.
I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. 'Cause He was there for me in the desert. He was there for me on the mountaintop. He was there for me when there was no water. He was there for me, and He gave me a drink. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. 'Cause He is high above. He is high above and lifted up.
He is high above and lifted up.
He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and lifted up. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. 'Cause He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and lifted up. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. 'Cause He was there. He was there for me in the desert.
He was there for me.
On the mountaintop,
He was there for me.
when there was no water, He was there for me, and He gave me a drink. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, 'cause He is high.
He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and lifted up.
He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and let's sing again. He's high.
He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and lifted up.
He is high above and lifted up. He is high above and lifted up. Would you applaud with me and let's just say thanks to God.
Hi-yo. So a couple of quick announcements. Next week is Easter service. We've got church in the morning. We're going to be meeting at 10:30 here. Do not come at 4. Nobody will be here. So we're going to meet at 10:30. It'll be an Easter service. We're not going to do a potluck. It'll be just get together, time to do kind of a special service, and then we'll kind of be off to family stuff for the rest of the day. Other than that, I think we've got an offering box over here. Feel free to drop something in it on your way out if you feel led to. Parents, pick up your kids. The helpers are already coming out here, ready for you to go get them. Other than that, hope you guys all have a great week. Thanks for coming.
I gave it to him. Oh, okay, sorry.